Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. We're doing take two. We already shot this right just now, but we're having to do take two because your boy forgot to press record. Idiot. I want to welcome back a returning guest, Miss Chengi from Chengi's World. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Kit.
I'm very excited to get into today's video because we've got a great topic to jump into. So Chengi, I got a message from one of my clients on Instagram, and she said that she feels that a lot of guys today don't know how to be masculine. They don't know how to lead, how to be confident, and questions, are there any kind of decent masculine men left? Have they been raised in a feminine way? And I was like, oh, being raised in a feminine way, that's an interesting question. What do you mean? And she kind of elaborated, but the point wasn't really clear. But I think that's definitely a good place to start from. Like, do you feel that guys, the modern man today, is raised to be more feminine than masculine? Is that a thing?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's a 50-50, really. It's one of those questions where it's a 50-50. Okay, so 50% of it is indeed raised. They are raised to be more feminine, and that's due to just single parenthood, mainly a single mom raising a son and kind of training him in feminine priorities, and also him just not having somebody to observe, because we learn to be feminine or masculine, especially as children, by what we pick up and store in our subconscious mind. So I have to see a man be a man to know what a man does and who a man is, and his responsibilities, and to pick up on his energy. In the absence of such, then a mother has to then find a strong male role model that is very much consistent in her son's life. And many women don't have that. Usually they try to date, and then they bring the worst examples, into their son's life. So in the absence, and this obviously is quite common with all the divorces that we have and all the single motherhood, that men are then raised with feminine mindsets. Another thing as well is a man can develop a feminine mindset if he's got an abusive father who is, maybe a drunk and beats him up, because the feminine heals the masculine. So if he is in need of healing, maybe from a dad, then he is going to develop a lot of feminine energy to heal his own masculine. Or so there are a lot of situations that would make a man grow up with feminine energy and feminine mindsets to boot. And then we have the other 50, which is masculine men who have been raised to be masculine with masculine priorities, and to to understand a man's role, because either they had a dad or they had a mom, like myself, who made sure that his dad was very, very, and I think you're sharing the same thing about your dad as well, that, present. Your mom did the same thing for you, is, we made sure that the dads were very present, that there was access, and that there were healthy male models around. So these boys, albeit coming out of the single parent, mom was quite conscious, and so he has masculine energy, but then now he's growing up in a feminist society, especially in the West. And we're talking about third wave feminism. We're not necessarily talking about the initial, we want to do what men can do kind of, we want to work outside of the home, and we want to have all these great things and these great options and these great choices that men do, which is perfectly fine and perfectly noble. We're talking about this sort of third wave of, if anything, feminine is weakness, and also men are horrible beings that just need to be punished and put in their place. And so that kind of level of feminism has made men wrong for being men, for being masculine. So if a man feels it's his place to pay, then are you trying to say that I can't pay for myself and I'm not independent? Yeah. If a man opens the door for a woman, then it's like, my hands are not broken. We have so much of this sort of stuff going on in our heads that men just don't want the drama anymore. So a lot of men are having to sort of take a real step back. As for certain men, they just won't even bother with you if you kind of have a lot of masculine energy. But a lot of masculine men will just keep it moving until they find somebody who's feminine. So a lot of women won't even encounter. Maybe they'll have one date and the guy disappears, right? Because he's like, nah, I'm not trying to be with another guy. Or, you know, they feel unsure, and that can be read by by the woman as feminine energy. But it's really, he's not sure what he can get away with without being reported to the police or being, you know, told about himself. Because a lot of women don't understand that men are really sensitive inside. And they take rejection and a lot of the stuff that we say out of our masculine mouths to them very personal. So after that's happened once or twice, they just don't want, they're just gonna play, right? And hence, you know, we're seeing a lot of sort of feminized men or masculine men who are having to the side of feminine so that they can just get through the day, right? So it's a bit of both.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree that definitely an aspect of having either not the right kind of father figure in their life or a lack of a father figure in their life. You know, because we were talking, I was saying to you about how you know, even though my parents were divorced and I was raised in my mom's household, my dad was very much in my life. That was a priority for her to make sure I have a strong relationship with my dad. And there are things that he taught me either through example or through intention about being a man in today's world. Because whether we like it or not, yes, we live in a day and age of equality, but because I'm a man, there are different rules, societal rules. And because you're a woman, there are different societal rules. Like, for example, and this doesn't make it acceptable, but like, for example, if a woman's like really upset or she's angry or emotional or, you know, especially if we see that on TV, a lot of the time, it's not unlikely for us to see her slap the guy, right?
Yeah.
For her to lash out physically, right? As a man, we can't afford to do that. If a guy does that, that takes it into a whole different territory because men and women, we are built differently. And as a man, we are more threatening. So we have to apply a different standard to ourselves. Whereas when you have, I think, young boys who have been raised, and one thing you said before, with a feminine lens, to be raised more feminine, that could be a teaching that they learn the hard way by going to jail. Because if they see that, oh, it's okay that if I'm, you know, if my emotions are high enough, society will permit me to do whatever physically. It's like, no. As guys, there are different rules, and that's not a bad thing. It's because like as men and women, we have different rules, and we have to understand those different responsibilities. And yeah, you already kind of touched on maybe are more girls being raised to be more masculine. And before you talked about the daughter in the household with the mum and the father and the attention. So I'd love for you to touch on that.
Yeah, so a lot of women, it's kind of happening in reverse as well. When a child is raised in a single parent household, and she lacks masculine energy, which is responsible to protect the feminine. So the masculine is required and responsible for protection of the feminine, and the feminine is responsible for the healing of the masculine. So, you know, feminine energy brings is very healing. So, which is why you find, you know, in a relationship, the woman determines the culture and the shift, and usually what a man. So even if I always say to my girls who are very kind of religious, you know, don't worry about a man's religious temperature, because if you are in your feminine, he's usually going to lean towards your kind of energy, because we kind of heal and influence is that kind of strong influential healing energy that a feminine has, whereas the masculine has got that strong directive, protective. So a woman is going to naturally lean into her masculine energy and make that her power base in the absence of a masculine man in her life, which is why it's so important that we can provide, again, masculine sort of energy around a girl, so she can learn to lean more into a feminine. She can actually relax and learn to, because daddy's going to take care of that, or uncle's going to take care of my safety, so I don't have to. But a lot of women are being raised without that option, so we're having to become our own men, and we rise up very much in masculine energy. Or when we have a situation, I think it's called the electro complex, but I will find out and I will send it to you so you can put in the video. And basically this is a psychological phenomenon that happens to boys and girls, where you are in a home with a girl being raised by daddy begins to compete with mommy for daddy's affection. She wants to be the number one woman in daddy's life.
Yes.
And some moms who are balanced and happy are quite happy to entertain that, oh, she's just daddy's girl. But actually there's usually an undercurrent between the mother and the daughter where there's a lot of competitive energy. So mom will become highly critical of the daughter, and there'll be a lot of kind of, and it is then the masculine, the father's responsibility to bring peace and order, right, between the two of them. And kind of create an environment where both of them feel, or all of them. My dad had 7, so 6 girls, so he had his work cut out. Right, because we don't like mom, and that's usually where you get that kind of animosity sometimes between mom and daughter. But if that piece is not handled properly, then the girl now has to defend herself against mom, and then she leans again heavily into her masculine energy. So I get a lot of women that have what I call the mother wound in my practice, who that relationship became very toxic between them and their daughter, and so she's become very masculine to protect herself from mom. So these are some of the conditions that create strong masculine energy in a woman, and it is a process for her to and it comes through time, learning to vet, to verify, to select a mate that is safe. She has to go through coaching. She has to go through, I'm yet to find a woman who can do it by herself, but you would have to go through a process of coaching where you figure out what works for you, what makes you feel safe. And this is a thing with femininity, is that a lot of masculine energy women are not in touch with their emotions or with their heart. They're not heart-centered. They're more in touch with their thoughts. So as a result, when they get a feeling that they're not safe, they ignore it because they're looking at the logical, rational kind of situation around it, not knowing that as a feminine woman, you navigate through that feeling. So when we start to kind of get into that feeling and sort of open it up and bring it to understanding, we can start to put some what I call core needs in place and non-negotiables, and all of these are creating our standards and boundaries. And once we have that kind of pot put together and we know exactly what we need to be safe and happy, because safety turns a woman on, right? She's never going to get turned on by a man she finds threatening. So it's a male priority to make sure that the woman he's with first and foremost feels safe. Right, this is a little tip for the boys, however many men you have on your channel, right? It is really, really important that his first priority is safety. Once a woman feels safe, she's going to naturally let her chemistry run wild, right? Yeah. So, and a lot of men, the way they come at women, or the way the hoops they make women jump, so give me your number. If you just meet a girl online and you're talking to her, talk to her for a bit and make her feel safe. A lot of guys are like, give me your number. They want to put, and then safety mechanisms go up, it's our bush and you're out, right? She can never now allow her chemistry to run wild. So, once a woman understands, I need this to feel safe. I need consistent communication to feel safe. I need you to be a certain financial place for me to feel safe. Once she knows what it is, she can eliminate everybody that doesn't fit into that category. And then when she's in that place, she now is safe enough to be vulnerable. And vulnerable being the power base for any feminine woman, to get really the masculine to do whatever she wants. Women don't understand that the actual power they have is in tapping into their own feminine energy, which then inspires the masculine to pretty much serve her and do her heart's desire, and he will do it
100%.
gladly because he's wired that way to be triggered by being needed, and by being
100%. Yeah, I think definitely in terms of the triggering, that as men, we are hardwired to protect women, to want to protect the woman we love or the woman that we care about. You know, that's why I give the examples. That's why when war happens, it is the men who get drafted, not the women, right? When the Titanic went down, it was women and children first. You know, it was, you know, when it's raining and a man and woman are walking back home from a date or something, the man sacrifices his coat, puts it over the woman to protect her from the rain, so that, because that's what men, we are wired to do. And you're definitely right in terms of being served. You know, the example that I gave before is, the classic scene of the woman who she's shopping. She wants to get the jam jar that's on the top shelf. It's a little bit out of her reach, and she sees a man, and the masculine woman goes, I don't need a man, I can get it myself, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the feminine woman goes, okay, yeah, I could get it myself, but I would love for you to get it for me. And then as a guy, what does that do? We're like, oh, yeah, I'll get it for you. Yeah, don't worry, let me get it, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's definitely one thing that, you know, when you said about recognizing the power as a woman for a man in your femininity, is that it is powerful to be served.
That's
And
right.
men, we are wired to want to serve the women we love and the women
Yes.
we care about. Do you think there's an element of our modern society where, because I think this, but I want to ask you on your thoughts, where we have been, or women, the modern women has been told that femininity is weak and masculinity is strong. So in order to be a strong woman, you almost have to be masculine, and we're kind of losing what the strength of being feminine is.
100%. I feel that is at the foundation and the core of women abandoning their femininity, is because of the fear of weakness. But then I bring it down to the definition of strength. What is strength? Men are strong, women are powerful. I give the analogy of a little baby. And please, feminists, don't come for me. Don't come for me. I'm not saying that women are babies. They get offended at everything, okay? But I know you don't have any of those here. Okay. So, a little baby has got no strength. Can't walk. That little thing can't even feed itself. That little thing can't even bathe itself. That thing is like the weakest little thing ever. But as tiny as that little 6-pound creature is, it can get 2 grown people to stay up at night, cook for it, clean for it,
Facts.
wipe its bottom,
Yeah.
okay, feed it like a king. That little 6-pounder, 7-pounder, 8-pounder of a little creature, as vulnerable as it is, it can't even talk, it can't even ask. It has 2 people doing, how can we serve you? How can we make you happy? That is power.
That is power.
That is power. That is power at its core. And this is the power a feminine woman has over a man. I don't care if the man is towering over you. I don't care if he is a billionaire. I don't care what kind of strength, financial strength or physical strength or whatever, however he is. If a woman is in her feminine, she can have that man saying, how do I serve you?
Yes. Yes.
Kingdoms have been brought down by feminine women. Wars have taken place in history over women. There is so much power in a woman being vulnerable and feminine and in tune with her femininity. And what we don't realize is in our thirst to get equality, because I think we're with this third wave of feminism, we've gone past equalityville. Now we're at vengeance, right? I keep saying that we stopped wanting what men could do and being equal. We're now at, we want to destroy them, right? We want to take everything, right? And in an attempt almost to be men, because it wasn't enough to just have what they have. Now we have to be them, right? And when we're trying to be them, we have to then sacrifice our power base. We're now leaving power and we're exchanging it for strength. We don't have to be strong. We've got the power to move the strength, to move the strong. Power to move the strong, right? I'll take the power to move the strong, thank you. Yes, I'll take the power for a man to go to war for me, so I don't have to. I'll take the power to get him to move heavy furniture for me, so I don't have to, right? I like power, right? Like you said earlier in our conversation, the queen doesn't get to do stuff. Her subjects do, or even her king, or the duke, or the princess.
She's not opening her own door.
No, queens get served. Now, we sadly, what the piece that, third wave feminism, modern feminism conveniently forgets to tell women is that they are surrendering their power in exchange for something that they simply do not have a power base in. Men will forever be strong, mentally, in so many ways. They're just strong. They have their weaknesses too, as we do, but they were built for this job, okay? So it's really therefore defining this weakness, and this whole idea that I was watching a TV show, and the host, there was a girl, she was doing an interview and she was talking about femininity, and of course I could clearly tell that the woman was like a couple interviewing them. The wife, definitely a feminist out here in these streets. You could tell she was on that feminist thing. And then, so the woman was like, well, if you want, a high value mate, you really have to learn to be feminine. And she was like, isn't that taking women back? And I was thinking, to where exactly are we taking women back to? Yes, we're taking them back to their power. That's what we're doing. But she took the word feminine, and in her head what she was really saying is, we're taking women back to when they were exploited by men. She was making this making it synonymous, femininity synonymous with being treated unfairly, with being thick, stupid, powerless, helpless, none of which are the case. So, she's clearly been programmed by feminism that any woman that seeks to embrace and embody her femininity is being weak. And unfortunately, she is not the only victim of it. And I was very much that girl too, sadly. It wasted a lot of my life. And when I do a lot of the work with the girls, they're like, oh my gosh, this thing just wasted my life, right? Yeah. Because I could have been with this person, but I was too busy comparing the size of our balls, mine are bigger than yours, I was so busy doing that I could have been married, I could have had kids, I could have, and now that I'm in, the amount of bankers, lawyers, doctors, female doctors that I speak to. I was on a call yesterday with, a psychologist, a doctor with a PhD, a whole PhD, like she's accomplished. And she sat there and she said to me, none of it matters. I just want to be somebody's wife and mom. Yeah. And if I had a penny for every single lawyer, doctor, successful women, some women in Hollywood that come to me who would swap everything they've achieved to be a wife and a mom, I would be rich. Yeah. This is a narrative I hear all the time from successful women who earn serious money, make moves, have big names. And it's because they sacrificed. They thought they had to be one or the other. They could have built everything they've built and still been a wife and mom. But feminism robbed that of them. They told them, don't let the man be, you pay. You go and let him know that you earn the same amount of money. You go let him know you don't need him for nothing. all of those things, and these high value masculine men were like, you know what, Liz, I'll date the receptionist, marry her, and give her kids, right? But he desired her. He saw her, he desired her, but then he was going to dinner with a man, right? Because that's what she was told was his priority. Now we're even. And actually, now she feels like, okay, when I'm being feminine, does that mean I have to kind of dumb down? That's another question I get a lot. Does that mean I have to dumb down? I don't want to dumb down. I'm like, no, baby. You have to lead with that girl who would give everything up.
Yes.
Because that girl in you who would give everything up, give up the PhDs. Listen, I hear this all the time. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That girl who would give up, like I was saying to you, my cousin, I don't know if I said in this video or the other one, but even my niece, she's like, Auntie, she's a microbiologist for Pfizer. She's huge in that corporation. She's only 24. She's kicking butts, taking names out here in these streets. She's like, Auntie, I just want to be a mom and a wife, right? These are the women who've been robbed by feminism. Because we told them you can't be feminine, a woman, and still successful. You've got to mirror a man. You've got to compete with a man. But actually, she can still, and many of these women still be successful, powerful, and still be feminine, and still get that love and still get that family. But it's quite tragic, to be honest. And I can guarantee you these women will never go out and say that in public because it's scary out here in these streets. Even me having this conversation with you, if I wasn't so convicted, it's scary because even women will come for me. I was in a Facebook group once and I said something in there about really, and the thing with the whole kind of feminist sort of mindset, it's almost like jihadist, it's almost like it's like a horrible, they don't even think anymore. Like, you can't have a conversation. It just sparks off rage, right? And I think I was talking about, how treating yourself well and taking care of yourself and being feminine and loving on yourself and buying yourself the things that make you happy, would attract a man who wants to do those things for you as well. And, and they were like, how can this post even still be around in the 21st century? I mean, they came for me. Like, I had to right? It happens to me so often when I talk about femininity that I get I was on a podcast the other day and this came up because I was trying to explain how and why men don't approach anymore and why men are just scared and just like, going for women that are just going to be more naturally compliant because the receptionist will need him for his money at least. The girl in McDonald's, she'll respect him because at least he's, coming through, with something. Yeah. So he's just going to take that, because she's pretty enough, we'll fix her up. But, he's going to take that. So I was trying to explain how the role of feminism and even the Me Too movement in some of its kind of ways has created this tension. And the lady who was interviewing me, who found me, who asked me, who was begging me to be on her show, she went off and won. And that podcast has actually not come out, right? This is the silencing around this subject matter, because the truth of the matter is, if we can actually let women figure this out and get into their power base, we change the game, we heal relationships, men feel respected, women feel cherished. Bob's your uncle, Fatty's your aunt, is the love party. That's what we're here to do, right? To let that love flow.
And I think you're right. It's a shame that there is still this thing of, even if someone disagrees, this kind of silencing. But the irony is the people who are paying the price for that are women. 100%. It's like you said, it's the women who they get to their 30s or their 40s and they are, maybe they haven't got their family together and maybe they are still single, no kids, and they're kind of like, okay, I'm doing everything that I've been told to do, but I actually don't have what it is that I want. So it's really good that there are, people like you out there who can definitely guide women, especially in terms of, reclaiming that feminine power that actually allows you to control or to guide the strong man. So on that, where can we find you, especially in terms of the embodiment of, if women want to, for the woman who maybe feels like she has sat in her masculine a lot of the time for her life. What guidance can you give to her, and where can we find you?
Well, it's a journey. That's what I'm gonna say. It was a very long journey for me, and it's a journey for the girls. And because I had to take myself through it, I didn't have anybody to walk me through it. It just came with a lot of something's wrong,
Yeah.
right? To go with it after you've been ghosted a few times.
Yeah.
A few times you've been ghosted, and something is not quite right here. So just having to do, there isn't kind of a one-stop shop really in the world of relationships about femininity. Something that I had to do a lot of research here, there, and listen to a lot of people. But what I will say to you is that the embodiment of femininity is first tuning into you, into the self, and really tapping into your feelings. One of the things that I experience with women when I say to them, so how does that make you feel? Because when I'm coaching, I'll always say, so how did that make you feel? How are you feeling right now? And we get blank, zero, total silence, because a lot of women don't even know how they feel about anything anymore, right? Because they're so in their masculine, they're so in their left lobe, they're always thinking through everything. The masculine is thinking that we're not feeling, and if we're not feeling, we don't really know what we need to communicate to the masculine. So first, it's the embodiment of femininity is a practice that I tell my girls to do is every so often. In fact, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel rested? Do I feel good? Do I feel comfortable? Once you get into the practice of going into your body, because the feminine resides within the body, once you get into your body and become acquainted with what you're feeling, if you can't figure out what you're feeling emotionally, figure out what your body feels. And there's an exercise that I tell my girls to do. This is very dangerous, but after a while, when you really get this, is gangster. Okay.
Hit us with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with it. And I only share this with the girls in my group, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. This is something that I do perpetually when I do a 2-hour walk every single day, because that's my best thinking time. But in that walk, I always choose a route where there are loads of cars, and I'm going to be walking in the direction where the cars are coming towards me, right? And what I do is I just get into my body, right? And I'm like, okay, how am I feeling right now? How am I walking right now? And I feel my hips walking I literally just feel my body, right? I feel myself walking. I'm like, oh girl, you're moving. You're moving. Okay. And I'm really kind of into my body. How am I feeling? The energy I'm feeling, how the air feels on my skin, and how my hair is kind of being blown by the wind, and I'm feeling, and I'm very conscious and very present within my space. I can guarantee you 99.9% of the time when I get into that energy, men are going to start stopping their cars. They stop their cars and they drive and they park and they're like, hi, can I talk to you? It's insane. Insane.
Yeah.
Okay, what actually happens? That is feminine energy. That feminine energy is inward, it's not outward. Yeah. And when a woman taps into it, I swear to you, men stop their cars. And I'll count how many I can stop along the way. I don't even have to look. I don't even have to try. They will park and I'm like, okay, one, come on, girl. And I just, get into my energy, right? And I've become so good and I know how to do it in a social space. So all this shoot your shot, women should shoot their shot, is because they're out of feminine, they're into masculine.
Yeah.
I never have to shoot my shot for the man I want to come to me. I call him energetically, right? Men gravitate to me. I don't go around chasing men. Yeah. And that happens online too, even if you're on online dating. So this is something I teach my girls. This is about embodying feminine energy, and I've got a video on my channel called The Embodied Feminine Energy, and I've got another channel that says The Feminine Energy That Drives Men Wild. Okay, so I've got loads and loads of videos on my channel, and all you have to do is go to the playlist on my channel, which is Understanding Feminine Energy, and all of this is on there. And I've got some courses on my website as well that Mastering Feminine Energy. So I've got quite a lot of stuff that the girls can benefit from, free or paid, and awesome. That's all in Chengi's world. everything is Chengi's World. Instagram is Chengi's World. Facebook, Chengi's World. YouTube, Chengi's World, and the website is chengisworld.co.uk. So easy enough to find.
Thank you, Chengi. Look, as we know, we could sit here and talk for hours.
Yeah,
but
for real.
I know you have a life, so I'm going to let you go. But I just want to say thank you for coming on today. We've had some great stuff here. Definitely check out Chengi's socials. I'm going to put all the links in the description below. And for 100% for women, definitely recommend, if you feel like you're struggling to tap into that feminine energy of yours to reclaim that power, definitely check out her video playlist. So thank you for you guys tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. And as always, keep it slick. Pow.